They are doing their due diligence, by the way. And let me tell you where I have changed my mind on the defensive coordinator position for the Miami Dolphins and where I think the Dolphins are really going to end up going. Because at first glance, we all know Mike has to hit on this. He has to hit on the defensive coordinator because he has to fix his offensive issues and his lack of discipline and his and the lack of organization in his world because he can't even get a play in on time, and that's pathetic. Okay, he can't even help his quarterback by getting a play in on time, so the quarterback can make the adjustments, make the changes, change the protections or something. No, so he's got a lot of things to fix. Okay, so I was thinking about that. But if you hire Hill or you hire Campanelli or Slowick, right? Is it Slowick? Yeah, Slowick, right? Ryan Slowick. Um, they're kind of unproven. I know Hill did it a little bit, but still unproven. You still don't know if they're going to be great at it. You may have to kind of police it a little bit. You may have to slow walk it a little bit. Now, if you go hire a Brandon Staley, a Leslie Frazier, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, and now I could go worry about the things that O just talked about. And the defense is on cruise control, like I did with Vic. Just let him go, and that's because Brandon Staley runs the same defense that Fangio does, and he's a really good defensive coordinator. He sucks as a head coach, but so does Fangio, right? There's lots of people. Wade Phillips sucked as a head coach. I'll take him as my defensive coordinator every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I'll take Romeo Crennel as my defensive coordinator, not my head coach. There's lots of those guys around in the history of the game that they're fantastic coordinators. They just aren't very good head coaches. So don't hold it against Brandon Staley. And then here's the other part of it. Brandon Staley's an experienced defensive coordinator. He's a successful defensive coordinator. That's why he got a head coaching opportunity. And he coaches the same kind of defense that Fangio runs. Exactly, pretty much to a T. Sure, he'll add his wrinkles or whatever, but basically it's the same thing. So that means you don't have to change a lot of players. You don't have to change the scheme a whole lot. You may have to change the what's it called, the wording of it. That's about it. But if you think about it, actually what is making more sense is that you hire a Brandon Staley or a Leslie Frazier to a lesser extent. But you bring in a proven defensive coordinator, which is what you need, because Slowick, Hill, Chris Campbell, Chris Griffin, all these kind of coaches that you've interviewed, and Chris Shula, they don't have that experience. So you're rolling the dice on a very important third year that it's the pivot year for Mike McDaniel. It's either the year that they determine he stays or he goes. You're going to hire Brandon Staley or Leslie Frazier to a lesser extent. You're hiring an experienced defensive coordinator. And it's looking more and more and more and more and more and more like Brandon Staley should get hired. That's what it's looking like. Okay? So I think I was wrong in thinking you go from within for continuity purposes. You could go Brandon Staley for continuity and for proven that that question will not need to be answered. He is a made defensive coordinator. People love Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator. Everybody hates Brandon Staley, the head coach. That was as bad as it gets. Okay. So that's where I would change my tune and say, yeah, no, I think we're going to go the veteran route instead. It makes more sense. The continuity route makes sense, but here you can get continuity and proven veteran. That's the combination that Ronaldo Hill, Slowick, Chris Griffin, Chris Shula, and Chris Campanelli. There's a lot of Chris's interviewing. That's a lot. They don't bring the proven, and that's where it changes.
is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.